Hi everyone, I'm Imogen from Course Report. We are a resource for researching which technology bootcamp is right for you. We have a directory of different bootcamps which teach everything from coding to data science and cybersecurity, plus a blog and interviews with founders, instructors and students, all to help you work out which bootcamp you want to go to. But before you apply to bootcamp, most instructors recommend you do some learning yourself, both to give you a head start and to help you prepare for the coding bootcamp interview. So today, we're going to learn about a free bootcamp prep course and remote learning platform from Codesmith, a bootcamp with campuses in LA and New York City. So today we have Hayley here from Codesmith, and she's going to tell us all about the new Codesmith CSX platform. So Hayley, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Super excited to talk about it.
Yay, cool. So maybe we can start and you can tell me about what your role is and what led you to join Codesmith.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a senior product manager here at Codesmith. Really what that means in this sense is just taking the lead on this new product of ours, so the launch of the CSX online learning platform. I've been at Codesmith for about 2 years now, and so thinking back to what led me to join this, I have a background mostly in Python, but was super excited about learning JavaScript and actually came to some of our free events first, and that was my first introduction to Codesmith. Loved the teaching style here, loved the team after meeting them, and just was like, I need to work at this place. People are so passionate, they're so excited about technology, and it's a very fast and iterative environment, and that is the style that I love. So I was super happy here still, and really excited to bring this to a lot more people with it now being online.
Very cool. So maybe you can tell us exactly what is CSX and why are you working on it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the core of Codesmith is our 12-week residency that exists now in Los Angeles and New York. We have tons of applicants coming from other cities, other countries, and really didn't have a lot to get them into the community besides our live stream JavaScript The Hard Parts that happens once a week from our Los Angeles office and then stays on YouTube. And so CSX in its core is just an online advanced JavaScript learning platform. So it has challenges, video recordings, readmes about different core fundamentals of JavaScript. And so we found ourselves, constantly pushing people towards different resources to prepare for Codesmith, because as a more advanced program, we have a lot of people needing to really just refine their skills or learn more JavaScript to be accepted. And so, we'd push people towards, 5 or 6 different resources, say, these have great challenges, this has great video content, and we were like, why aren't we just doing it ourselves and giving people the exact fundamental knowledge that we need them to come into Codesmith with, instead of, kind of saying, here's all these resources, you can try to figure this out, what is best for you. And now we're wanting to take that learning to really have more control over it, as well as just have our take and our pedagogy that we have in our core week program and bring that to online as well.
Very cool. And is CSX just for people thinking about doing Codesmith, or can anyone do it?
Yeah, great question. Definitely anybody can do it. We have such a range of users already. So there's definitely people preparing for Codesmith and other coding boot camps as well. I've talked to many of people that are, managers of engineering teams, and they want to better know the technology that their engineering team works with. Or, they're really fluent in Python, but just want to give JavaScript a try, or really from all over the place. And so as for now, it's a free program. And so if anyone, wants to pick up some JavaScript, have some harder learning, or watch some videos on it, that's totally available to anybody. But then there is special focus for people that are preparing for Codesmith and really just giving them those tools that we really expect from our technical interviews and expect from our applicants.
That's awesome. And how long does it take to go through the program?
Yeah, so it's a little bit different depending on, what background you're coming in with it and how much time per week you're going to be putting towards this. Since it's a completely free online program, people can really take it how they want to. So, that depends on how many hours you're putting in a week, depending on what you're coming at. I would say from someone who is less experienced, it could take them, up to like 60 hours, and someone who's more experienced, probably a lot shorter than that. But we are actually releasing 2 new programs later this week that I can give a little bit of a sneak intro about. And so those are more structured versions of CSX. And so there's going to be a live online program, which is a 2-week, basically a structured version of it, kind of condensed into 3 weeknights and 2 weekend days. And is with instructors and office hours and a focus on, problem solving, technical communication. And so that's kind of taking all of CSX and condensing it into these really just like a 2-week period. And then we're going to have a self-directed program where it's 4 weeks long. You can kind of take the program as you want to go with it. So there's no focus on how far you get through it, but there's, office hours every week that are very personalized. And there's assessments and pair programming every week with a mentor who can really help you through some of the things you're struggling with, as well as that will end with a mock interview for Codesmith as well. So kind of getting all those skills in that, but you can kind of take the coursework as you want to.
That's awesome. And those 2 new programs you mentioned, are those going to be free as well?
Those are going to be paid, but there's going to be a lot of scholarships offered as well. And then if you are then accepted into Codesmith, the tuition comes out of that tuition. So you wouldn't be paying for that as well.
Awesome. That's so cool. And then can you kind of give me a brief overview of what the curriculum covers and sort of how the courses are structured?
Yeah, absolutely. So a new thing for us is we just put in a pre-course. So that is part of this new release that was released last Friday. And so pre-course can take you from the very basics of JavaScript, starting with variables, moving up to loops and arrays, and just giving some more background context to that just type of curriculum that can get you ready for the more core CSX curriculum, which is a little bit more advanced than that. And so once you have that down, you move on to functions and execution context. After that is callbacks and higher order functions, some of our core fundamentals that we teach, weekly workshops on in Los Angeles and New York, and then closures and execution context and scope, and then moving up to async. And we are going to be releasing object-oriented programming next week. So just kind of moving along up that train and just really fleshing out those concepts that we have workshops on, but just giving people more freedom to do that on their free time, and you don't have to be in LA or New York to use those materials as well.
That's awesome. And for the kind of people going through the free version of CSX, do they work with instructors at all, or is that mainly just solo learning?
Yeah, so that's a big part of CSX as well, is we really wanted to bring the community piece to the online space as well. And so if you've ever been to our weekly workshops, it's really focused on community and making sure everyone feels, comfortable and are able to really put their best foot into learning because they're not worried about being competitive or, asking a silly question or something like that. And so all of our videos are shot by our CEO, Will, who is one of the top front-end masters performers. A lot of people have seen his instructional videos on there. But if you have questions while you're going through the program for the free version, we have weekly office hours. So about an hour a week, you can ask a mentor or someone from the CSX staff that can, ask questions about the program itself or just a specific question on a challenge. As well as we have a pretty active Slack channel. So if you have any questions while you're going through the material, you can just shoot that into the general channel, and one of the mentors usually answers that within a couple hours. What we've also seen recently is lots of other students have been answering questions, which is awesome to see. And so, sometimes even before that, they'll answer that in a couple of minutes. And so we haven't even seen it yet, but students are already helping each other out on Slack, which has been really exciting to see.
That's so cool that they can all help each other. I love that. And then as well as, gaining admission into Codesmith, what is the kind of overall goal of the course? Like, what will students be able to build or do when they finish?
Yeah, absolutely. The way the CSX is structured is it's really focused on a core Codesmith value as well, which is teaching students how to teach themselves. In this world of technology, things are always changing. The next thing is always right around the corner, and it doesn't really help to get yourself in a very small little hole and just be an expert there. You kind of need to know how to learn new technologies, learn new concepts, and that's really what we wanted to bring to CSX as well. And so there's a lot of focus that's not just on the JavaScript knowledge. And people a lot of the time simplify a software engineer into just understanding, the technology when really there's a lot more to it. So some of the other things we focus on are technical communication and problem solving. And so there's bonus units on both of those topics and really kind of going into depth on what those mean for Codesmith students or what those mean for CSX students. And then the weekly pair programming is really focused around people being able to interact with other users and work on those skills. So we expect students to come out of it with, a lot more refined ability to tackle any types of problems, no matter if they've seen that before on CSX or they're new to it, to have a lot more focus on technical communication and how they explain things, because that is just so important to engineering teams, and just, having an understanding of it yourself is being able to explain that to someone else. And then, having a really core knowledge of the fundamentals of JavaScript. So being able to, come out of that and feel comfortable with knowing the basics of the language, as well as we have a project in there called Building a Chrome Extension that really allows people to, just get more into the nitty-gritty of things. There's practice problems are amazing and really allow you to know the concepts, but building a project is really what allows you to understand how things work together and to, use all the resources that the internet can provide. And so we wanted to give a little bit of both of that.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool that they can actually build something and feel like they've achieved something at the end.
Yeah, and we also are having scholarship opportunities based on submissions of those. So we recently just had one where we gave 2 weeks to build a Chrome extension, and you submit it, and our team looked over that and then awarded a 25% scholarship to the winner of that for the Codesmith program. And Eric is joining us in April, and he had built a great Chrome extension, and so we're excited to do more of those opportunities as well.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, I think we're ready to have a look at the platform. So would you be able to share your screen and show me what it looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. 1 second. Great. So here we are on the Codesmith website. We're just going to maneuver over to online courses to start on CSX. And so here is the landing page for that. I already have an account, so I will just sign in real quick. And we are in. So the first thing I want you to notice is how it's broken up based on card structures right here. So every unit has its representation as a card on this page. And so you can kind of get an overview of what is available and kind of pick and choose where you want to dive in. It's not necessarily a chronological course. If you have an understanding of one concept and you want to dive immediately into another one, that's totally fine to do that as well. I think some other things I want to show you. So I think the overview of CSX is a great place to start for people just getting to know more about the program itself and more about Codesmith and what we expect from people. And so trying to give people a plan for, attacking this curriculum where online learning is a little bit hard to know where to go through. So really just giving people a step-by-step plan. I think the Chrome extension is a great place to, really work on their project building understanding and, connecting those more things. And then the core fundamentals that we're testing on our technical interview are really units 1 through 4, so up to recursion. And then we've found a lot of other students that are in other bootcamps or preparing for their bootcamps really focus on 1 to 3. And so, depending on what you're using CSX for and why you're working through that, you can kind of pick and choose the units that you want to attack or, the concepts that you really want to understand better, no matter if you're using that to get into a program or, you just want to know the type of concept that that's about. But we have lots of plans for, more content, releasing more features and everything coming up. And so it'll be evolving a lot in the coming weeks.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so let's click into a unit. How about callbacks and higher order functions, since we're talking about that this week. So we can explore and you kind of get to this other window, which has another display of what is available. And we also just released new video content. So our old video content was recordings of our in-person workshops, but we have now done professionally shot videos, which are a lot better quality, which we're super excited about. So you can see the video of the explanation. You can have this access to the slides as well. And so once you're familiar with that, you can move on. There's some description. A lot of these have read files where you can get a more step-by-step going through, as well as with the whiteboarding aspects that are in the video really help people. And then you can move on to start. There we go. And so you can start doing challenges. And so at the moment, we are asking people to do, or people are being able to test their work from console logs. And so you would just uncomment this out and be able to dive in there. But in the future, we're going to be implementing unit testing, and so they'll know if those answers are correct or not. For now, it's kind of just up to the student themselves to test their answers based on the console logs that we're giving them. And so you can see there's challenges on the left and the running environment down here, as well as the boilerplate code that's already existing in this area as well.
That's awesome. And then I was wondering if it might be possible for you to actually walk me through one of the kind of more simple challenges, just maybe part of it, just showing like how to enter the answers and how to solve it.
Yeah, sure. Simple. So we can go to the pre-course variables here. There's a little bit of README, variable reassignment. So we can go into solve. And then the pre-course is really heavy on just describing these concepts. And so there's less challenges at the beginning there. But we do also recommend you do the optional pre-course assessment. That really gives you an idea if you did understand those and if you need to go back and learn more. So here's our code editor. Can you still see this? Awesome. Okay. So now that this is challenges, assuming that you know what variables are, so you can create a variable named last name and assign it a value of the last name. Make sure you wrap your questions in quotation marks. So for example, there's this here, and this challenge is talking about reassigning a variable. So asking not to modify the sign, it gives you a little kind of an intro, add code here. So we can go our first name equals, and we can look at saved here. We can run code here, finished executing. And so uncomment these. We can kind of uncomment these console logs and run code here. Oh, need to comment this out. So here we go. There we go. So a good place to learn for all of us. So you're able to run your code. We have it auto-saving, but just so you know if things are saved as not, it will show you if it's not saved right here. You can kind of auto-save that yourself. And then if things are ending, so you might have broken it here, you can just end code, and then running code will let you see it down here, see if things have worked. And so the console logs are a great way to test those. Most of the challenges have a couple built into there, but if you want to keep testing things, adding to your own, that will really be the thing that shows if you've gotten that answer right or not.
Cool, that's awesome. Yeah. So basically, they find out straight away whether they've got something right or wrong, and then they can make edits to make it run how they want it.
Yeah, absolutely. We wanted to have a more real feel of testing at the beginning. So being able to test your work by checking to see if you're getting what you expect to get out of that.
That's really cool. All right, well, do you want to show me the pair programming now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe I sent you a link. And so let's maneuver over into that. And so up here, you can also see where you can RSVP to our next workshop. So we're going to have pair programmings every week. This week's is this Wednesday at 6 p.m. You can RSVP right up here. So this week's is on callbacks. And so you rate your comfortability with the concept. So let's say I feel pretty good about callbacks. I'll rate it right here. You can RSVP, and then right before the event, you'll be matched up with someone at a similar comfort level, and then you can pair program through those challenges that we'll provide that are also not hosted on CSX. So get you a chance to do some different challenges. All right, so here we are. Let me know when you're in that as well.
Okay. I am in.
So you're seeing the same screen I'm seeing?
Yes, I think so. Yep.
Okay, cool. Are you able to see me typing up here?
Yes.
Okay. Should I just walk you through being able to type on here and then?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so what would happen if you're signing up for one of these real events is you would get an email about 15 minutes before the event. It would have your partner and a special link to go to with the challenges for that week's pair programming session. But the video is usually in the corner with audio, so you can talk to your pair programming partner. And in the email are some instructions on how to pair program best. So you're both, going into it knowing who the driver is, who the navigator is, and really how to work that through. You can see the challenges. So you can go, hi, Imogen. And Imogen, if you're able to type through, you can just say, hi, Haley. Awesome. So this is really helpful for pair programming. So, when someone is the driver and they're the ones that's typing, they can kind of take ownership of that part. And then the navigator is really able to speak through the video and, talk them through the solution and how they want them to go about solving it. And then they're both able to have that experience that they shared and have that saved code for future use to go back to. And so it's a really awesome experience for people, to be able to connect to other people around the world and really have that experience working through problems with them. We find online learning can be somewhat solitary, and it's hard to keep motivated when it's just you in your room, working towards something. And so we do so much pair programming in our program as well as in our in-person events, and so we wanted to bring that to the online space. And the best way that we found doing that is through the live code editor and the video piece, which we're not able to show today, but it will be up there for those that are doing the pair programming this Wednesday. And so just an awesome way to, have that ability to work with other people. Maybe if you don't know anybody who is also learning to code, or, you don't have that flexibility to be able to do that after work, this really gives you another avenue to be able to do that.
That's awesome. And how do you kind of recommend people approach it?
Yeah, definitely. So in the email that we'll send, there's a good amount of instructions on what pair programming is, what the best practices are, and we kind of leave it up to the pair to decide who wants to be the driver first and who wants to be the navigator. And in this case, the navigator is the one who's doing the problem solving and really working through how to get to the solution and using their technical communication to relay that information to the driver. So really giving them a step-by-step plan on how to solve that problem. The driver is then taking in that information, that plan, and translating it into JavaScript. And so they're the one who's doing all the typing while the navigator keeps their hands completely off the keyboard. And we suggest people going back and forth every 20 minutes or every challenge if that's what they want to do, but just so they can both get that experience working on different skills that come from each position. So when you're in the navigator position, you're really working on, that technical communication. You need to know, where you want to go with that problem. And so you can explain the long-term steps to get there. As the driver, you're really working on being able to take instructions and then translate that into JavaScript. And if the navigator takes a different approach to solving the problem than you thought of, just expose different ways of problem solving, different ways of thinking about things. And then you're the one who's working more on your syntax by being the one who's actually typing it out.
That's awesome. Very cool. Cool. Well, that was great to see a demo of that. Yeah, very cool functionality. Cool. And then let's see. Sorry, I'm just figuring out which question we're up to.
No problem.
Yeah, is there anything else about the platform that you'd like to show me?
Yeah, let's go back around the platform.
And I'm wondering, overall, how is this learning platform different from other sort of free online resources like Code Academy, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge fan of Codecademy. I've used it myself many times, but I think what we wanted to bring to the online space is really hard learning. And so what Codesmith does really well is just giving people problems, giving them the tools to solve it. So, everything you can find on the internet and searching, the documentation on how to do something, but really bringing that to the online space. But hard learning isn't best done by yourself. It's easy to stop, hit a block, and not want to continue. And so we wanted to also supplement that with the, in-person workshops that complement each of the units that we have filmed live online, as well as the videos that are exist on CSX, as well as the weekly pair programming, weekly office hours, to give people that extra push. If you have questions and you're really struggling with this block, you have other people to work with, you have mentors to ask questions to, but you're still moving things along at a pace where you're getting that in-depth understanding and that in-depth learning that I think come more from really hitting that block and having to work through it, as opposed to being walked through things more tutorial style. And so that block is really what we talk about a lot in our in-person workshops, but we wanted to bring that to, a wider community with the online space and have people able to work through more challenges and prepare more things on their own time. We all have busy schedules, so being able to, pick something up on the weekend or at night is really important, but also having that community aspect. So during those times, you're not alone doing that. You do have other people working through it and tons of people you can ask questions to.
Cool. So I've just got a couple of questions left. We can end the screen share if you like and just talk about those face to face.
Oh, we're back.
There you are. Cool. Yeah. So, yeah, thanks for that great overview. It looks beautiful, the platform, and
Thanks.
so many different functionalities. It's really awesome. And I'm interested in how often do students actually get accepted into Codesmith after going through CSX, or get into other coding boot camps?
Yeah, definitely a good question. Since we're relatively new, we don't have any hard data on this, a very clear, like, I went into CSX hoping to get into a program, and yes, I did, or no, I didn't. But we have a lot of students that are currently in our most recent cohort that have been using it, and just talking to them in person, was been really helpful for them. There's lots of groups that, make Slack channels for themselves and, like ask about meeting up in different cities to pair program and to have like that extra support. So that's been really helpful. And then just giving people the exact concepts that we want them to know for the technical interview has been really helpful as well. And so it's a little bit hard to search through online resources for a specific concept you want to be tested on. And so just giving those, very much like, we want you to work on units 1 through 4, and this is the path to do that. And these are the things that you can do to supplement that learning. And I think a lot of programs, I'm sure, look for analytical problem solving and technical communication as well. I just know personally it's a huge priority here. And so giving people the tools to do that as well as the challenges was really important to us. And so I do think that it's getting people right on or off on the right foot for those. I can't say, for sure that 10% of people or whatever. But I do think that just talking to people in person, it's been a really important stepping stool for them to be accepted here.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's great to hear those success stories. And then what is your advice for students who are thinking about doing this CSX program?
Yeah, I would say set yourself up with some goals and the achievables to get to those goals. And so making a plan and really committing a certain number of hours per week, making sure that your schedule allows you to attend those extra resources. So pair programming is super important. Going to those office hours is super important. And so making sure that if you're really committed to, mastering JavaScript, you are able to really take advantage of all the things that we offer. I think that, it's easy to stop doing online learning. And so to remind people that there is that community and to take part in it. Ask questions on Slack, meet other students on Slack, come to the in-person events to complement the online challenges as well if you're able to, or attend the live stream of those. And, just setting people up with the expectation that it's not going to be easy, but this is a really great path with a lot of support. And the best way to learn is by hitting those blocks and solving through them. And so be ready to hit blocks and then be ready to solve through them, I think, is my best advice to someone.
Well, thank you so much, Haley, for telling us all about this and walking us through the platform. I think it's going to be very interesting for all our viewers to get a sneak peek at what it's like. So thank you so much.
Yeah, they were amazing questions, and I'm really excited to talk about it.